Giridharadhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharadhari Giridharadhari Yashodanandana Braja Janarandana Yashodanandana Braja Janarandana Jamuna Tira Vanam Sari Jamuna Tira Vanam Sari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharadhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharadhari Yashodanandana Braja Janarandana Yashodanandana Braja Janarandana Jamuna Tira Vanam Sari Jamuna Tira Vanam Sari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
inside and outside.
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Rama Rama,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe, Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Go to Pimanande. Dhammitipad Paramahamsa Tri Vrajagacharya Sotra Satya Sri Srimad His Divine Grace Shirabai Charanarvind Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Skandi Biti Founder Acharyas Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Samabhata Bhakti Vrinda Ki Harinam Sankirtan Ki Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Tiny Tagore Pimanandi. All that is to be assembled devotees, all that is to be assembled devotees, all that is to be assembled devotees. All that is to Sri Guru and to Sri Gauranga. All that is to Srila Prabhupada. When those prayers are chanted, we just don't go like that. This has become more and more devotees, they just go like this, or they bend down like this. The proper way we should do. Om Namo Om Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Parakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sabhadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Visakanditamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kancana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Suti Devi Pranamami Hare Priye Vansakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vyaevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Narayanam Namaskritya Dharam Chaiva Narotamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, let us first offer respectful obeisances unto Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Narayana Rishi, the supremmost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta Prayesha Badreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhaviti Naistiki. By regularly hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering a service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome within the heart becomes destroyed or practically to nil, and loving devotional service unto the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Idam Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Brahma Samhitam Uttama Shloka Charitam Sakara Bhagavan Rishi Nisreyasaya Lokasya Dhanyam Swaschayanam Mahat. This Srimad Bhagavatam, known as the Grantaraj, the king of all Vedic literatures, is the literary incarnation of God. It is compiled by the incarnation of God as Srila Vyasadeva. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people. It is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. Shri Krishna Chaitanya,
Shri Krishna Chaitanya,
Prabhu Nityananda,
Prabhu Nityananda,
Sri Advaita Gadadhara,
Shri Advaita Gadadhara,
Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta
Shri
Vrinda.
Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama, Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama, Hare Rama,
Rama Rama, Hare
Rama
Hare.
Rama, Hare Hare.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Om Sarabhyay Namaha.
Om Sarvaya Namaha.
Om Sarabhyay Namaha.
Om Sarvaya Namaha.
Om Sarabhyay Namaha.
Om Sarvaya Namaha.
Mukam karoti vasalam pangam langayate girim. Yat kripa tamaham bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam. Yat kripa tamaham bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I would like you to, although he did already took some pictures, but you go to the roof, get some good shots, try to get picture of the samadhi, not samadhi, TOBP, and from outside, from here and backside, you can get some good shots. Yes? We continue, Hare Krishna, this morning with our reading from Bhagavatam, Canto number 1, Chapter 8, entitled Prayers by Queen Kunti. Yesterday we read text number 15. So today is 16. Mamsta hi etad ascharyam sarvascharyam mayi achute ya idam mayaya devya srijati avati hanti ajaha mamsta yetad ascharyam. Yes. Sarvascharyam mayi chute ya idam mayaya devya srijatyavati hantyajaha mamsta yetad ascharyam sarvascharyam mayechute ya idam mayaya devya srijatyavati hantyajaha mamsta yetad ascharyam sarvascharyam mayechute ya idam mayaya devya srijatyavati hanyajaha. Mamamstahitadacharyam Sarvascharyam Mayichyute Yaidam Mayaya Devya Srijatyavati Hantyajaha Mamamstahitadacharyam Sarvascharyam Mayichyute Yaidam Mayaya Devya Srijatyavati Hantyajaha Mamamstahitadacharyam Sarvascharyam Mayichyute Yaidam Mayaya Devya Srijatyavati Hantyajaha Do not Mamstaha think He certainly Etat all these Ascharyam wonderful Sarva all Ascharyamayi in the all mysterious Achyute the infallible Yaha one who Idam this creation Mayaya by his energy Divya transcendental Srijati creates Avati maintains Hanti annihilates Ajaha unborn. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. O Brahmanas, do not think this to be especially wonderful in the activities of the mysterious and infallible personality of Godhead. By his own transcendental energy, he creates, maintains, and annihilates all material things, although he himself is unborn. Kind of repeat after me. O Brahmanas, do not think this to be especially wonderful in the activities of the mysterious and infallible personality of Godhead. By his own transcendental energy, he creates, maintains, and annihilates all material things, although he himself is unborn. Purport. The activities of the Lord are always inconceivable to the tiny brain of the living entities. Nothing is impossible for the Supreme Lord, but all his actions are wonderful for us, and thus he is always beyond the range of our conceivable limits. The Lord is the all-powerful, all-perfect personality of Godhead. The Lord is 100% perfect, whereas others, namely Narayana, Brahma, Shiva, the demigods, and all other living beings, possess only different percentages of such perfection. No one is equal to or greater than him. He is unrivaled. Translation again. O Brahmanas, do not think this to be especially wonderful in the activities of the mysterious and infallible personality of Godhead. By his own transcendental energy, He creates, maintains, and annihilates all material things, although he himself is unborn. So who is addressing the Brahmanas here?
They are mostly Brahmanas.
No, who is addressing?
Sonaka
Who,
is
The leader.
yeah. But in the verse yesterday, it was someone addressing Oshonaka. So it is
That's interesting. Did you find it before?
no.
How many times we read and heard?
So who is addressing Shonaka and the Brahmanas in Naimisharanya?
Narada Muni.
No. Huh?
Sutta Goswami.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So this is very nicely presented, of course, both in the translation and the purport, how the Lord, of course, we hear this all the time. Yes, aham brahmasmi, aham sarvasya, that verse, which is describing
Aham sarvasya prabho
mata sarvam pravartate iti madva bhajanti mam buddha bhava samanditaha. So buddha, bhava, those who are actually in this mood or mentality of trying to understand, of therefore those who are very observant, those who are conscious. Before we become Krishna conscious, we must become conscious, period, isn't it? We must actually, before becoming conscious of the spiritual level of reality, we must be conscious of what is taking place in this world. We must be endeavoring to understand how this whole cosmic manifestation, this whole material creation is working and functioning. And as a matter of fact, in the exchange between Parikshit Maharaj and Shukadeva Goswami, also in the exchange between Vidura and Maitreya, there's a whole section where Vidura is asking so many questions. And many of these questions have to do with the workings of the material world. Because for a devotee, who knows that actually this material world, behind this material world, behind the workings of the material world, must be some very big brain. That's why Prabhupada is reminding us about the level of our brain, our very tiny and insignificant brain. And unless we acknowledge, unless we admit, unless we understand how small and insignificant we are, then we cannot so easily accept or understand or appreciate the inconceivable workings of the Lord. And for those who are constantly on that level of alertness, isn't it? We need to be alert and conscientious about how Krishna, because a devotee is someone who is on that level, on that platform, his way of seeing and his way of understanding, his way of appreciating is totally different from the common, ordinary persons, most of whom, anyone who is actually not Krishna conscious. Therefore, he sees things in a completely different manner. Just like I always remember this very nice example when Srila Prabhupada, very simple example, but very significant. Srila Prabhupada used to, every day, as we know, take his morning walk. Very often he would go outside the campus, Mayapur campus, and he would walk on the road. I mean, in those days, it was only fields practically. There was nothing very much developed. So he would go to these different places. Sometimes he would walk on the roof of the Lotus building because his room was there, his residence was there. So one day he was walking on the roof of the Lotus building. And naturally, there were always a small group of devotees walking with him. So it was like Prabhupada would take his morning walk around this time, before darshan. He would always come back in time for darshan. It was like perfect timing. So one of these mornings he was walking around, and maybe there were 10, 15 devotees with him. And then he stopped at one corner, and he made the following statement. Welcome. I can see, but you cannot see. I mean, anything and everything that Prabhupada would say, devotees from the back, they would pull their ears to try and hear. So Prabhupada said, I can see, but no one can see. All the devotees looked at one another. What is Prabhupada telling? Then he continued walking. Second time, he stopped at the same place, lifted his head. I can see, nobody can see. Devotees became even more perplexed. What's going on? So, third time, actually, Prabhupada walks around the Lotus building, stops at the same place, and for the third time, I can see, nobody can see. By this time, the devotees were really... And then one devotee dared to ask Prabhupada, what do you see that we cannot see? And Prabhupada looked at the corner. You see that light bulb? The sun is up. Why it's still on? Why nobody turned off the light bulb? Prabhupada was on the highest transcendental level of realization, but was also down to earth. He was seeing things materially that he would detect so many small details like this. So being Krishna conscious doesn't mean just being on a cloud nine. It means actually being very grounded, just like we're grounded now. Grounded means in touch with reality, understanding actually what is reality. And for a devotee, which is nicely described here, everything he sees, what is called, sometimes we use this expression, the hidden hand of the Lord, because actually behind everything, behind the sunrise, behind the chirping of birds, behind every and all activity that is taking place, it is taking place in a most inconceivable manner, isn't it? Even the scientists who have so much of, good brain and have so many facilities, scientific machines, etc., to analyze and understand, there's still so many unknown factors about the universe. Not only about the universe, even about this body, isn't it? What do we understand about our body? We are living in this body. What do we know about this body? When we take food, what happens to the food? We don't know, isn't it? I mean, those who are scientists, they can analyze to some extent, they can understand. So, devotee is someone, therefore, who he is always endeavoring to be, this comes in due course of time more naturally, to be attentive and to be appreciative of this material creation and what is behind, especially what is behind this material creation. So that is why here it is being nicely expressed, how the Lord, he works in very mysterious and wonderful ways. And for his devotees, he's ready to do all kinds of, make all kinds of arrangements, which are totally unexpected very often. Just like in the early days, the devotees, now ISKCON is in many places quite opulent. We have so many big buildings. We have so many vehicles, so many facilities are there. But in the early days, the devotees were struggling very hard. They could hardly pay the rent where they were staying. And so this was the case actually, I believe in San Francisco, possibly Los Angeles also in those very early days. And so they had been given notice by the landlord, you have to, if you can't pay by the end of this month, you have to vacate the premises. And so one fine morning, a few devotees were just taking a morning walk. And, in the early morning hours, there's nobody on the street. People, maybe it was a weekend also where people don't have to go to work. So there was absolutely nobody. And then these two devotees were walking. Then after some time, they started seeing some $100 bills just like floating on the road. The wind was just like many. Sometimes, isn't it? We go someplace and we find some money, but this was like a very unusual, and there was nobody around. The devotees could not understand. Small example, actually, many there are many such examples where the Lord makes different arrangements, totally unexpectedly, and in inconceivable ways that we cannot understand. So here, Sutta Goswami, this is the scene here in this chapter, prayers by Queen Kunti, and also the, what is it? The protection of Pariksit Maharaj within the, it's mentioned actually in the beginning here. Yeah, Pariksit Maharaj saved within the womb. So Shukadev, Sutta Goswami rather, is addressing the sages in Naimisharanya, who are all Brahmanas. O Brahmanas, do not think this to be especially wonderful in the activities of the mysterious and infallible personality of Godhead. This is in reference to the Lord performing a miracle in counteracting this Brahmastra weapon that was thrown by Ashwatthama to destroy the last personality of the Kuru dynasty, namely Parikshit Maharaj. So Sutta Goswami is mentioning, do not think this to be especially wonderful in the activities of the mysterious and infallible personality of Godhead. By his own transcendental energy, he creates, maintains, and annihilates all material things, although he himself is unborn. And Prabhupada mentions actually how this is a whole subject matter in the context of tattva. Again, tattva being meant to be. Tattva means what is reality, what is the absolute truth, meant to be one of the most important subject matters that devotees try to discuss and understand. So one of the tattvas, there are basically 10 tattvas, as nicely presented by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his Dasamula Tattva. So one of the tattvas, one of the 3 tattvas describing Krishna, is that he is the Param Tattva. And this is referred to here in the later or last portion of the purport. He is the Param Tattva. There is no one, just like in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Ekale Ishvara Krishna. Ekale, Eka means one. There is only one Param Ishvara, Parameshvara, that is Krishna, who possesses fully, completely, in full, all the qualities, whereas even personalities like Narayana, different Vishnu incarnations, Narayana or Shiva or Brahma, the demigods, or the living entities, it is analyzed, it has been analyzed and very nicely described by our acharyas, beginning with the Goswamis of Vrindavan, by analyzing and going through, because that was their specialty, isn't it? They were deputed, they were requested by Lord Chaitanya to go to Vrindavan and to deeply study the scriptures, subject matter, the essence. And in doing so, they came up with so many references that help us understand the actual position of Krishna compared to all other, because in Vedic knowledge, in Vedic theology, in Vedic philosophy, their Vedas are so vast, isn't it? So much knowledge is actually contained in the Vedas. So much so that anyone, for example, who comes to India without proper preparation or without coming in contact with proper personalities may very easily, and it happens a lot, become confused. Because the subject matter of dharma, the subject matter of tattva is very, very involved subject matter. So here, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada reiterates how Krishna, which is elaborated upon in the Nectar Devotion, Krishna contains, or possesses rather, all 64 qualities of Godhead. Where others, beginning with Narayana, they possess or display only 60 of these 64 qualities, which is equivalent to what, 94%. Whereas Lord Shiva, he possesses up to, I believe, 83%. And Lord Brahma possesses up to 78%. And that means that actually all jivas, all living entities, all of us are sitting here, have the ability, have the possibility of developing like Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma, Prabhupada explains, is a post. Just like in any country, anyone is eligible to become like the prime minister, but very few people become prime minister or president, isn't it? But everyone in the constitution of any country, if he qualifies and if he gets the vote and the democratic system that is existing today, can become the prime minister, theoretically, isn't it? So similarly, every living entity can become a Brahma in one of unlimited universes in the material world and can develop, that means, up to 78% of the qualities of Godhead. So, but Krishna has that unique. That is what is very special, and in many ways very confidential in terms of the philosophy of Krishna consciousness, which is not so easily understood or accepted, isn't it? Because people rather promote this one or that one as being the supreme personality. So this is very important because, as it will be explained and analyzed in the pages of the Bhagavatam, if we don't have that understanding, not only theoretical understanding, Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam, that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then we will not be able to actually develop ultimately our connection, our relationship, our personal relationship. And that is where all of us, practically speaking, without exception in the material world, this is where our problem begins. And we can see it every day. We can witness it also every day. Our problem in terms of establishing proper relationship with other people, even including devotees, isn't it? It's amazing. Even amongst ourselves as devotees who have this knowledge, who are chanting Hare Krishna, we experience this very challenging situation of establishing very wholesome, personal, and types of relationship that will be beneficial to both ourselves and the persons with whom we are establishing relationships. And that is why that is the beginning level. And that is why when our acharyas speak about this topic of tattva, out of the 10 tattvas that Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur describes in his Dasa Mula Tattva, Dasa 10, 7 out of 10 tattvas, 7 out of 10, that means 70%, deal with the first level of jnana, sambandha jnana, the topic of relationship, 70%. So in other words, if we don't do our homework properly in terms of understanding our relationship in terms of ourselves and Krishna, our relationship in terms of ourselves and other devotees, our relationship in terms of ourselves and the material energy in the material world, then we will stumble. We will not be successful in going through the other two levels, which are absolutely necessary to actually attain the perfection of life. And what is that perfection of life is, of course, to develop ultimately our love for Krishna, Krishna prema. So we get glimpses like this when we read practically any verse from Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. We get some glimpses of what it's all about, what Krishna consciousness means, and how very scientific the whole process is. And it begins actually, as nicely described in the first canto of the Bhagavatam, by attentively hearing what is being conveyed, what is being said by the personalities who are speaking, and what is being conveyed when we attend classes on Srimad Bhagavatam especially. And that is why one of the foremost activities for all devotees every single day is to be spending time to hear. To hear, there needs to be a quality to our hearing, what is being conveyed, what is being presented, what is being explained by personalities who are on that very high level of transcendence of Krishna consciousness. And so just to summarize here briefly, Sutta Goswami is, after hearing this whole very wonderful pastime of the Lord, again breaking his promise of not taking up any weapon during the Battle of Kurukshetra, although the Battle of Kurukshetra is finished, but it's like the tail end of the Battle of Kurukshetra because Ashwatthama is still active. He's in throwing his Brahmastra weapon. So the Lord, as we know, to protect his devotee Arjuna, took up the broken wheel of the chariot, and went to actually attack grandfather Bhishmadev. And what was the reason why he didn't actually throw that broken wheel to grandfather Bhishmadev? Arjuna was trying to stop him, but the main reason why is because the sun set. When at the beginning of every day in the Battle of Kurukshetra, the battle begins when the first sun rays makes its appearance and the conch shell is blown. And then when the sun is like, cannot see, the conch shell again blows. Whatever activity is there, stop. So Krishna had to stop. So in other words, Krishna, for the first time, actually took this weapon, and then he is again, we could say for a second time, breaking his promise by protecting with his own weapon, his own energy. And you were mentioning it's not actually written that he took his Sudarshan disc, but that is the ultimate weapon that Krishna sometimes calls upon to to neutralize the effect of the Brahmastra weapon. So as devotees, we should endeavor to be attentive not only in hearing in the Bhagavatam class, but throughout our daily activities, we should endeavor to be attentive in our dealings with one another, in whatever service we are doing. So, and it should go in the, minutest and smallest details. The more we are attentive to details, then that's an indication of our level of consciousness. So we can spend a few minutes to have some discussion or share some thoughts on this, or ask any questions if there are any. Yes.
As you mentioned that Ashwatthama, last son of Kuru dynasty, last son of Parikshit Maharaj,
within the womb,
was saved by
Krishna.
Sudarshan Chakra. He told that.
Previous verse also.
Yeah. So as you said now, it is not by Sudarshan Chakra.
I didn't say that. No, I was mentioning that yesterday we were having some, yesterday or the day before, whether... Yeah. I mean, the word Sudarshan Chakra is not mentioned directly.
Yeah, but in the translation is there.
Yeah. So Krishna's ultimate weapon of destruction that can counteract anything, especially because Brahmastra is a material weapon. So, just like in the Battle of Kurukshetra, we neutralize how, they were the arrows they would shoot. That's art. They would what is it? They would give different mantras, so the arrows would be imbued with Shakti. That's material. And for example, when the arrow would be shot, then depending on the mantra you give to your arrow, let's say you get fire. So it's like, if fire is coming, a good amount of fire is coming at me in the form of an arrow or arrows, I'm finished. So unless I know the art to counteract, so I have to shoot an arrow that is water. And so, fire is coming this way, water is coming with this way. A little bit what is going on today with, anyway, that's a whole other topic. But so how to counteract, that's a whole science. And our main objective and our main challenge is how to counteract Maya. And there's only one sure way of counteracting Maya. And that's by chanting Hare Krishna. That's by actually taking shelter of Krishna's Daivi Prakriti, which is bhakti, devotional service. But there needs to be a quality to that bhakti. There needs to be a quality to our devotional service. There needs to be a quality to everything we are doing. Yes. Any other thought, question? Yes.
I have a few. First of all, thank you very much to show that every details are complete. That's very important because we have our nature and we are focusing on the topic when we are listening the topic on according to our nature. Someone is most focusing on the story. Someone is the knowledge or the, behind that, or someone is some other things. Because we are limited. But when we are sitting together, we can listen other persons how they observe, how they find out their most important topic, which is not absolute most important, but for them is most important. Then we can share. And then we can see other person's most important, but also applying for our life.
Yes.
So in cooperation, we can have a much more understanding of this very wonderful topic like alone.
Yes.
Like you mentioned here that very small details should be there. And we get these details by Srila Prabhupada's verse, but Srila Prabhupada using the verse of previous acharyas, the other commentators. Like if you see in this verse, where is mentioned the Brahmana? The word Brahmana is not there in any way. So where Prabhupada takes that translation, that in this verse, especially, the verse, the person who the speaker mentioned, O Brahmana,
Right.
is there. Right. I'm sure that he took it from the previous comments.
Correct.
Because it should be like somewhere in the grammar, which other commentators show up. This is not singular, this is plural. Some of the words here.
Right.
And also before that, the previous verse, Shaunaka. Prabhupada used Shaunaka. But what is the verse? Brigu Uddhava.
Right.
So the Brigu Uddhava means the best of the Brigu dynasty, he says in the translation.
Mm.
The Prabhupada gives us the essence. But who is Brigu? Why Shravanaka is the best of the Brigu dynasty? Because Brigu is a great sage,
Great.
but have also some misunderstanding of the absolute truth. But Shravanaka understood the absolute truth properly because he was listening to the original person who was there, Sutta Goswami.
Yes, yes. So, yes.
So many details, and
yes.
this canto is very important. It's just the beginning.
Correct.
So maybe we just lost the topic of Mahabharata, but no, we have to build up our faith in Achyuta, in the
Yes.
topic of the Supreme Person of Godhead, not in the topic of Narayan or Lord Shiva. So interesting Shiva.
Yes, yes.
But we should not focus on Shiva's stories. We should focus on Krishna's stories. Because that will save us. Shiva doesn't give liberation. Helps, but doesn't give liberation. So these verses are very important to build up absolute faith
Yes.
in the Bhagavatam.
Yes. Yes. There, there are many messages that are being conveyed, and of course, one of the most important messages, which is being underlined here, and that is one of the primary reasons why that Krishna made that arrangement, that Sutta Goswami had left, as we know, that meeting in Naimisharanya, and somehow Krishna had arranged for him to be there when Shukadeva Goswami spoke to Parikshit Maharaj. And he was able to fully understand, because the sages in Naimisharanya, it was a mixture of sages. Simply because one is a Brahmana doesn't mean he knows and understands the absolute truth. Actually, the majority of Brahmanas don't understand the statement, Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam, isn't it? They are studying, they are having some understanding of transcendence, but it is, as we know, a very mysterious and very confidential subject matter, as Krishna confirms also in the Bhagavad Gita. So Sutta Goswami returning after hearing Shukadeva Goswami explain the whole Bhagavatam, and so for the first time he is actually repeating, he is conveying the content of the Bhagavatam to the sages of Naimisharanya, and establishing, yes, the supreme position, supremacy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, and what is the means or the process by which we can actually attain to the lotus feet of that Supreme Personality of Godhead, which is ultimately the process of bhakti or devotional service. So, yes, the whole Bhagavatam is directing us in so many ways to what is essential, and to avoid. We have to be careful also when we study, for example, the cosmic manifestation, and we should study it in the mood and how it is presented actually by the different speakers of the Bhagavatam, not for the purpose of exploiting or enjoying that material nature, but actually of understanding how wonderfully it is working every single moment. Just like, every people, when I was visiting in Indonesia some years back, where was it? Yeah, Bromo. On the island of Java, there are different mountains. One mountain is called Mount Arjuna. There's a lot of Vedic connection there. One is called Mount Meru. Yeah. So we were visiting one place where it's a spot high on the mountain where people, they go out of their way to come to that particular spot, because from there you get to see the sunrise in a very special, unique way. It has different reflections on the surrounding mountain. People pay money and they go to that spot, even if it's raining and whatnot. So, I mean, most people interact or relate with nature for the purpose of enjoying it. but we as devotees, we are meant to interact with nature to just appreciate more and more how Krishna has created this material world, and for the purpose actually ultimately of appreciating and understanding and engaging more and more in Krishna's service, not for the purpose of, as ordinary people are doing, of using this material world for our sense gratification, etc.
That's interesting also that how beautifully Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami summarizing all our path from the beginning to the end to understand Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and take part of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement.
Yes, yeah.
In his second verse, when he starts to explain who is Lord Chaitanya, he starts with the Upanishads.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember my first meeting with the Upanishad, the Ishu Upanishad, the second verse saying, you have to know very well what is for you and what is others. Then you can live long life. So Upanishad start with just teaching the impersonal Brahman, but also some hint there is more.
Yes, yes.
And in the Chaitanya Charitamrita by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, we get the full picture that that Supreme Personal Godhead, Sri Krishna, who is proved by different acharyas, and Jiva Goswami explained it very nicely, is none different than Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Correct.
Who is, as the first soul, who is the whole Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Just a great devotee, but
right.
More.
Yes, yes, yes. He's externally playing the role of devotee, but he is non-different from,
In the second chapter is so beautifully Krishna's Kaviraj summarizing Jiva Goswami's mood of way of how to prove that.
Yes, yes.
Nice conversation between them.
Yeah, actually, that Adi Lila, in the Adi Lila, there's a whole section to establish that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, number one, and there's a whole other section to establish that Lord Chaitanya is not different from Krishna. Yeah, I mean, so many references from so many different shastras that and that's the specialty of the Goswamis of Vrindavan. And Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami had their association, and therefore he summarized all of this nectar understanding in the entire Chaitanya Charitamrita, and that's why it is considered so important. Yeah, brings us to another level of appreciation and understanding. Okay, very good. Thank you all very much. Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki. Gaur Premanande. In the middle of our rainy season, Krishna is very